Thank you for joining Cushman Wakefield's face-to-face interview, bringing you the latest insights from city leaders and real estate professionals on issues that are relevant to the business community in the GTA. It is my pleasure to introduce Barry Lyons, President and Senior Partner of Barry Lyons Consultants, a member of the Home Builders Hall of Fame. Barry has been a leading expert on the condo scene in Toronto for many years. He has been tracking the record-breaking development that has changed the skyline for the city and has without question transformed our downtown area, making it one of the most vibrant areas to live and work. Barry, welcome to Cushman Wakefield.
Hi, Paul.
Give us an idea, if you would, on the background, the context to the residential development taking place in Toronto.
It's been quite amazing. The numbers that we're turning out over the past 10 years are just beyond belief to some people. We've been averaging around 8,000 to 10,000 new condo residents in the general downtown, midtown area every year for the past 10 years. To look at it another way, we've added the population of Waterloo to the downtown area in the last 10, 11 years, which is quite phenomenal.
And you know, I look at the success of the office development, for example, with 4 new buildings built and leased now in the last 5 years, potentially another 2 that'll be announced this year. And it strikes me that the two are related, that the success of the residential development market must be helping office demand as well. What's your view on that?
There's really a perfect chemistry going on here. As you say, we've leased close to 200 floors now of office space in the past 5 years, with more to come. And that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the popularity of the downtown lifestyle. All those talented young people living in and around the downtown form a tremendous pool of employees for business. And the word is out. And the more people that are attracted, the more business grows. So one hand clasps the other. The new office development brings in more residents bring in more office. Plus all our great downtown infrastructure. We're really on a strong path here right now that we feel very, very good about.
You know, I can't help but compare this to the late 80s. I'm sure others ask you this question, you know, is this a bubble? Will this end? And I understand that there's some different drivers today. Could you help us understand what those drivers are?
It's due to a couple of things primarily. The demographics of Toronto, the growth in immigrant population, which is fundamental to us. Some of the residential real estate brokers, their office speaks 10 to 15 languages, as an example. That immigrant market is hugely important to us as investors, as residents. That's being a big change. Back then, what you're alluding to the late 80s and such, people were speculating. The whole idea was to flip before you had to put much money down. That's all gone. We don't flip, we don't speculate that way anymore. Our very large community of investors are in there for the longer haul, 5, 6 years anyway, before they think of reselling. But and they're renting, they're small landlords in effect, which really helps because not everyone can afford to buy. So they play an important role in kind of warehousing condominiums for people until they get their money together to buy. So that's being a big, big change. And then, as I said earlier, downtown has never had this appeal to the extent. It's always been a great downtown, but it just gets better and better. Our transportation, we're doubling the size of Union Station's capacity. The walk to work potential, the walk to sports, the walk to clubs, the walk to pubs. We can walk everywhere, above and below ground. And even though it may cost more to rent downtown, your capital cost for maintaining employment is lower. So you're probably better off, and we see a trend here away from 905, not dramatic, but a trend towards downtown office employment. And I think we're just scratching the surface. We're going to see several more new office buildings in the downtown core and on the periphery.
Interesting. Let's talk a little bit about scratching the surface. And when you look ahead 10 years, what do you see? Will we see this kind of growth?
One thing I hope we don't see is that downtown becomes expensive. One of our real strong selling points now is that housing is still relatively affordable. We want to keep it that way, so it's important that land costs be stable, that we not run short of anything, because shortages increase costs. If we can keep things more or less stable, then we're in good shape, and all the services will come along. One of the indicators we look for is grocery stores, and we're getting so many new grocery stores downtown. You don't have a neighborhood until you have a grocery store. And we've got, what, 5, 6, 7 new grocery stores in the downtown area right now, all busy, more to come. These are good, healthy signs for the future of downtown. So that hand-in-glove relationship of office development, office leasing, and increased residential population is a very unique characteristic to Toronto and all of North America. And we just see that getting all the more popular to the benefit of the city and to practitioners in the industry.
It's very positive news. I noticed that Longo's has been a very successful grocery store operator that's been opening new facilities, Brookfield Place and at Maple Leaf Entertainment and elsewhere. So I didn't realize that that's an early indicator or an indicator for you when you start to see that.
In fact, you could do a whole story on them. People tend not to buy a week load of groceries as they do in the suburbs. They shop 2 and 3 times a week with a bag or two to walk back to their condo or to their apartment. So it's a different way of shopping than we're used to in 905 in particular.
So you're confident or optimistic somewhat in the ongoing demand for condominiums as a part of the rental pool for the next decade or more?
Sure.
And I think David Jarofsky is the one who coined the phrase or came up with this notion that, in fact, what we're seeing is a restocking of our apartment supply. I mean, thanks to this investor pool.
If it weren't for condo, we wouldn't have new rental. It's really the role it's playing in a big way. There will always be clouds. Toronto's good at seeing cloudy futures. There'll always be clouds. You have to worry about the overall economy, about unemployment, about prices kiting. But I think all of that is just natural Toronto worries, and we'll get through it in good shape. We feel very, very good about the next decade.
Maybe our worrying nature has helped us a little bit avoid any major problems.
You wouldn't be a Torontonian if you didn't sweat it out a bit.
Exactly. One other question on office demand and the supply of office sites. There's some that have said now that with all this demand for residential, it doesn't make a lot of economic sense to build office buildings. Does that worry you that we're going to run out of developable land for office buildings or office employment?
Yeah, it's something we wouldn't have thought of a while ago, but the Canadian Urban Institute just released a study that says, in fact, we may be running out of good quality office lands in the core. Vancouver faced this several years ago and slapped a moratorium on condominium development because the condos were taking the office sites. Hopefully we won't have to do that here. But it's possible that for the big 1 million square feet office towers, we may not have enough land in the shorter term. We're going to have to create land by creating land assemblies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Back to the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Barry, thank you very much. On behalf of my colleagues at Cushman Wakefield, we appreciate your coming in and taking the time to share your insights with us. Thank you again.
Thank you.